friends, David Boyd here with the Sam Villa ArTeam, and it's my pleasure to be here with you today to share some tips and techniques as far as dealing with a part in a shorter hair design. Now before we get into the technique, I would love to show you some of the tools that we're going to use for our success. Now one of the first tools we're going to use is our Sam Villa long cutting comb. This is going to allow us to control the hair with either the fine or the wide teeth of the comb using an ivory color for contrast on the darker hair. The other tool we're going to use is our Sam Villa Signature Series razor handle. I'm going to be using the 9-gap blade in the razor for this technique. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to work with a sense of moisture. I'm going to add some water to the shape. And what we're looking at now is we're deciding which side a part should or could live on. Now there's really a couple factors that go into play. One is going to end up being the growth pattern, right? The whorl in the back that's going to tell us which way the hair would like to go. Now that gives us two types of parts. The part that follows the growth pattern is going to be a part that gives us a lot of control. It's very easy to deal with and very easy to find and recreate. Now sweeping the hair against the grain or against the growth pattern of the hair is going to give me a part that's got a lot more movement and texture. It might give us a lot more volume because the hair is being forced against the way it would usually like to go. Right now, this head has been placed into a part against the natural growth, as natural as a mannequin can be, right? But we're giving ourselves a lot of movement and a lot of texture throughout by parting that hair against its growth pattern. So what I want to show you is a quick and easy razor technique for use when we're switching a part on a guest. Now one of the reasons you might consider switching a part is facial symmetry, the way that they are built, or to suit the look that they're going for. You might find that switching the part to the other side might add emphasis to a feature that they might want to show off or accentuate. So one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to add the water, so that way I know I've got slip in the hair when using the razor technique. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through, and Sam's got other videos on how to part hair. And one of these techniques is just to bring it back on a diagonal back. Now when we part the hair straight back across the round of the head, what we deal with is a lot of hair that wants to stick straight out into space. If we're able to rotate that part back from the recession towards the middle of the back of the head, what I'm able to do is add a lot more hair on the shallow side of the part. By adding hair on the shallow side of the part, I've got a lot more length and a lot more weight that I can use to add control and shape to this design. Now once we've parted it off towards the other side, what I'm going to use my comb for is to impart a sense of order and discipline onto the hair. When I'm able to get all of the grains of the hair moving in the same direction, I'm able to see what shapes I'm dealing with and how much the hair may or may not fight this new shape. Once it's been placed into the new shape, what I want to do is I'm going to come through, and by using diagonal sections, I'm going to come across at a 45-degree angle from where I want the part to live. I'm going to start these sections away from the visible layers of the hair. Now remember, while I am using a 9-gap texture blade, this technique is not necessarily to texturize the hair. What we're doing is we're using small sections about as thick as my finger to create a long to short technique over the top of each section, removing only about 15% of the hair at a time to impart a sense of sculpture. This razor technique is going to allow us to communicate to the hair which way we would like it to travel in. By very lightly grazing the top of each section, I'm not going to get a very jagged or visual texture. All I'm doing is communicating this message to the hair of where I would like it to go. Now this is going to make this style and this technique a lot easier for our guest at home when the hair has an idea of what it is that we want to see. So again, I'm not looking to thin the hair, and especially on any of our guests that have medium to fine hair, we need to be very conservative in how we use the razor. Now if any of you have used a razor before, you know as well as I do that the razor is a very emotional tool. The emotion that I carry within myself or in my hands is going to come out very, very directly into the hair. So I want to make sure that the emotion that I'm imparting on the razor is one of calmness, definitely softness, and just a little bit of artful sculpting in each of these sections. Now, I make sure that when I apply that pressure and begin to use this razor technique in each diagonal section, that when I do so, I start that razor at least halfway down the hair grain or the hair strand. If I start any higher than that, towards the base or the root of the hair, we're going to get a lot of sprout. So I want to make sure I avoid that by giving myself a little bit of room at the base so that we're not creating added or visual texture, but simply a little element of movement and sculpture to the hair, very, very lightly grazing till I see about 15% of that hair come out. Now, when I get towards my last sections towards the front, what I want to do is I want to make sure I leave a little veil of hair out that's going to come over the top of this shape and make sure that if any element of very, very minimal or subtle visual texture that is created with the razor can be hidden by this front veil of hair. So I'm taking my last section, holding it in my fingers with a very light to medium tension, just enough tension to make sure that the hair is where I want it to be so that it's cut. At this point, I'm going to bring the mannequin back to our previous position here from the front. I'm going to sweep the hair from the front back across all the texture techniques that we used, allowing the hair now to sit and really kind of just flow into the shape that we've given it by using our Sam Villa Signature Series razor handle with our 9-gap blade. Now we do have other blade options, and the reason that we choose the 9-gap in this situation is the 9-gap's got a very subtle blending shear type result or finish on the hair. It allows us to create those shapes without taking too much hair or risking really changing the density or formation of the hair that we've already got. So at this point, sweep it into place, and we've got ourselves a part that's able to switch very easily from one side of the head to the other. In this circumstance, back to more of a natural fall type part where the hair is traveling in the direction it would usually do so. So hopefully, this is one more trick that you can add to your bag of tricks behind the chair to make your job a little easier and the result for your guest a little bit more comfortable and consistent. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'd like to welcome you to add any comments, questions, or any feedback that you might have in the box below. Thanks for watching. I'm Dave Boyd with the Sam Villa ArTeam, and we'll see you next time.